One last thing which we would kick ourselves if we didn't do well, having a newly promoted host on the scene today. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, Jamie is a Leeds United fan, and we've had now 2 seasons in a row where the teams that have come up have gone down. In fact, the last time a team was relegated that didn't just come up was Leeds United, I believe. It was that season, was it not? That you went down.
The,
The season
the
where
yes.
Everton dodged their way through with some questionable things. But yes, my question to you, and I hope it's met with a yes. Firstly, is can one or more of the promoted teams break that sort of rhythm that's going on and stay up in the Premier League?
They can, but I don't think they will. Bias alone, I think just because I know what's going on with the club and who we're owned by and things like that and the structure and how we play, obviously I'm going to say I think we'll stay up.
Mm-hmm.
I think we will. I think with the money we've got to spend, we will. Um, it just depends on Sheffield United's owners still wanting to try. I'm pretty sure he's still wanting to get rid of them and sell them, but nobody wants to buy the club.
Don't blame him.
It it's a tough one because the gulf between the Premier League and the Championship now is ridiculous, and PSR doesn't help it.
No,
Help
not at all.
the promoted teams because the deficit of what we're allowed to spend compared to the Premier League teams the first season you promoted is ridiculous. I just think I've openly said to many people that if I'm one of the promoted teams, well, I am one of the promoted teams, but I'd quite happily let my board spend as much as they want, take the -2 point deduction that Forest got for overspending, because what's going to make you more? You're gonna if you spend over your allotted amount, or you stay within the amount you're allowed to spend, is that and don't get the two -2 points. I think
Yeah,
spending another 150 million is going to get you more than 2 points.
points. Yeah, absolutely. So you're saying basically the only way for a championship side to stay up is to cheat, and
Yes.
I absolutely agree. And let's just say them charges come in the next season because they might. By the time things get moving into motion, all right, you get a 5 point deduction the following season. But because you've stayed up in the Premier League, you've got X amount more money and X amount of Premier League experience from the first season. You could bounce and keep going, which is effectively kind of what Forest have done to an incredible standard. Let's not lie, because I mean to bounce and then be in a European spot is truly brilliant, and it does take investment from the owners as well. They were lucky that they didn't go down that one season, and they gambled everything on it. And I think if that gamble hadn't paid off, you'd probably be looking at them in League One by now. But it did pay off, and now we're looking at them in Europe. So my question to you is, say Leeds or Burnley, or I actually think Leeds are the most likely to do it, mainly because of Premier League history. There is something in that, you know. Say Leeds are the team to stay up. Who's going down? With Burnley and Sheffield or Sunderland.
See, personally, I really do think Burnley could stay up as well if because defensively they're great. I
If
mean,
they
you just
keep
have to
them,
look at the clean sheets that they've
got to keep their
kept.
players though.
Well, yeah, but who's looking for a keeper?
Chelsea, Newcastle.
That's a good point, actually.
Yeah,
That's a
two
very
big
good point.
teams challenge and Aston Villa because Martinez is on his way up.
It's a very good point. I
That's
think
three
I
Premiership sides that are going to come for Trafford.
just going off the topic though.
Yeah,
Trafford, I could see it. Newcastle, to be honest,
I
I
said
think
I
it'd
could
be
see him at
a bad
Chelsea.
club.
I think he'd be a great signing for Chelsea personally,
He would. I think. Yeah, they do need a keeper.
and
But
and
I mean,
London. But yeah,
I'm trying. If I think about it, I think if I'm doing the bias thing, so Leeds are going to stay up, and
yeah.
Burnley is something going down.
Well, one stays up, right? That's all that matters. One team stays up. Let's just say that hypothetically, any team doesn't matter who is the team that's going down.
So you're going to have
17th, 16th, 18th place, sorry, in the Premier League. Leeds have, let's say hypothetically, Leeds have stayed up on the last day of the season because I think if a team is going down, it would come right to the end. Leeds have just won their final game to guarantee that they are staying in the Premier League. who is the team that they have toppled?
Do you know who I'm going to go for? And it's because they've just sold their best player to Man United, and their owners are always on about not spending money, and they don't have money to spend. I'm going to go for Wolves.
Mm-hmm.
I think they got pretty lucky this season. Again, I mean, a couple of the teams down there got pretty lucky with how bad the bottom three were. I just think Wolves have now sold their best player, their shining light in Cunha, and I just think that they're in trouble. I can genuinely see them go back down to the Championship.
Yeah.
But I think that they if they did, I'm pretty sure they'd bounce back up. But I say that
Yeah,
still,
I think
it's one of the toughest
they
leagues in the
would,
world.
but I think they've been Premier League quality for long enough to bounce straight back up. You know, it's like you say, that gap is so big that often when a Premier League side that has stayed up for a while goes down, they bounce back. And Leicester were the ones who did that, but the second hit this time has been worse. It hasn't helped them. Obviously, players like Vardy aging whilst down there and stuff like that, who might have helped keep them up. What about? So you say Wolves? They're losing Cunha. They could lose a couple of other players. Nori could go. And realistically, the only way a team, in my opinion, goes down is if they sell and don't buy to replace effectively. Now, the one other team, in my opinion, who kind of rely on one player is, and I'm not. By the way, I'm not going to say Man U or Tottenham because I just think there is almost a level of too big to fail. There just is. I mean, so going aside from that, if West Ham were to lose someone like Jarrod Bowen, now I'm not saying that he would go. If they lost Jarrod Bowen, they probably would only get 40 million, would you say? Potentially?
If they were to get relegated.
No, not if. Say this summer, someone comes in and buys Jarrod Bowen, Aston Villa, come and buy Jarrod Bowen, 40 million. I'm not saying that would ever happen.
I think.
Do you reckon they're still good enough?
I think you're looking at about 60 million, to be honest.
All right, even still, 60 million. If they lost Jarrod Bowen, how many points and how far down could West Ham fall?
Well, they've proved that they'll reinvest the money. If they get the money coming, they reinvest it.
Will they do it effectively?
Down to where they didn't do it with Fulcrook, did they?
No, they didn't do it with the Rice money. Really, and you know, players like Paqueta and everything have dropped off a cliff this season.
But we've seen that before. We've seen that with many teams before. That when they have a big seller, and they go and spend the cash to replace them, they don't replace it right. Spurs did it with Bale.
Yeah.
They sold Bale, and look at the crop of crap that they brought in.
We done it with Suarez.
You did it with Suarez.
But then we learned from that. No, we learned from that. Coutinho, we bought in Alisson, Van Dijk.
Oh yes, it
was Fabinho. Yeah. It was the Suarez one. Suarez, yeah, we smart recruited the next time.
Then West Ham have gone and done it with Rice, and it just shows that teams, when they have this abundance of money to spend because of that big sale, it's almost as if because other teams know that they have the money, they're like, well, we want the max money you were going to give us for it, kind of thing. But then they're willing to do it, and the player's just not good enough. He doesn't live up to the hype of the price tag that you've had to pay for him.
Absolutely.
So I can understand why you say West Ham. I just think they have more than enough. They have more than Wolves.
I just put them on a low threat. I don't think personally. I really do see it just being 3 up, 3 down. I hope with all my heart that it's not. But
what about a rogue shout? What would your rogue shout be? Now mine, I want to get mine in there before you.
Hang on, mine begins with B.
That could be 3.
Yeah, that's why I just said that just before you said anything.
Whoa. See, mine is, and it's quite rogue because you look at the position that they're going to potentially finish in. They've pretty much guaranteed Europe. But with Europe, as you know, comes hard times. I'm going to go Forest. That's my rogue shout. That's my rogue one.
I don't hate it. I predicted.
West Ham.
Depends how much they get picked apart, right, and how much they reinvest. I think the only thing that goes in Forest's favour, maybe more than West Ham had, is West Ham were almost carried by a superstar Declan Rice, who they lost and didn't recruit well. Forest are much more of a team, and also I think the owner of Forest has shown that he will put the money in to build.
But his antics are also the reason why it could work against them, because the way he acts, it wouldn't surprise me if a couple of bad results and bam, Nuno's gone.
Yeah, there's.
Doesn't guarantee that who you're going to bring in next, he's going to be any better. I just think it'll be. You've seen it with West Ham. They had a really poor season when they were in Europe, didn't they? And the only
Yeah.
reason they carried on in Europe was because they won. I just think I'm not saying they will. I don't think they will. Like I say, it's just my road.
It's a
If I
right.
have to
It's
look at the table,
it's
it's my
your
road.
500 to 1's odds. Which one you're putting a quid
Yes,
on?
it's my one. Like if it does happen next season, it'll be. I
Yeah.
told you so.
Mine
Because
would be. Again, I'm.
Wait, can I guess yours? If you give me,
I'm
maybe-
honestly, yeah. I'm going between the three of them. I still don't even know which one. But go on, put your guess out.
I think you're gonna go Brentford because there's no way it's Brighton. I think Brighton are a Premier League team now. The way they work, the way they operate, they're a Premier League team. I think you're gonna go Brentford because I don't think Bournemouth.
I'm between Brentford and Bournemouth, and I keep flipping and tossing them. I if I had to pick between the two of them, I would go Brentford, because as much as I think in my head it could be Bournemouth, I think there's too many ifs that would need to happen for Bournemouth to fail. They would. I know they're losing Hutchison, but however you pronounce it, but they've got multiple quality strikers, multiple quality defenders, and they'd have to really get picked, and also they'd have to lose their manager, who is shown to be a really good manager as well. Brentford. I'm not saying
you take Wissa
there's
and
less
Mbeumo
things that get taken away that have really achieved well that could go, and they could be on collapse. I don't think either of them will go down. They're too good, really. If I was going to go for anyone, it would be the two that we said. Wolves or West Ham. Don't be fooled by Everton's 13th in the Premier League, because that was Dyche and under
I'd
Moyes.
love for Everton to go down.
Oh, I'd love it. Obviously, I'd bask in it. I'd dream of Man United going down too. That'd be hilarious. But the odds on it happening are very slim. It'd be interesting with Man U. One comment I was very shocked by was Bruno Fernandes after the Champions League and after the Europa League, saying, "I want to compete in the top competitions," and I was surprised by that.
But where does he go? Who
Europe.
would buy him for the money? Yeah, but
I
look at the
honestly,
teams that are
look,
around.
I know it doesn't. Look, it maybe goes against their plans or the way you look at them. I could really see him in a Barcelona shirt. I really could.
That's personal. That's one of the only teams I can see.
I think he's. I don't like Bruno Fernandes, or haven't for a very long time, but I want him to go somewhere where he can succeed, and I can sit then at the end of it and go, I'm glad he moved on and got a trophy, or a major trophy that he deserved. Not an FA Cup.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just think he would suit Barcelona personally. And they done it with Lewandowski. They got that big name in who's slightly older.
Yeah.
And
Thinking about the big teams that they could afford him,
Bayern and
Barcelona's
Barca.
probably the
PSG as well, but
Barcelona's the only team that would fit. He'd fit into. I don't see him fitting into a PSG one.
no, they're doing too well to
Team,
Bayern.
Bayern team, any of the Italian teams. Real Madrid, no, because they've got Bellingham.
No need for him. I'd like to see it, but I think we go off topic. I think we'll call it there. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for joining, Jamie. Without Jamie, there wouldn't have been anything tonight. We wouldn't have had any talk at all. So, appreciate that. And until next time, everyone. Peace!